Welcome everybody to the podcast. I'm Dr. Terrence Duncan, and this is Mahogany Thoughts, and this is the 14th episode on December the 14th, and I have a very special guest, Miss Leslie Davis. Miss Leslie, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing pretty good. Mr. Butler is not going to be able to make it today. He had his daughter, as he said before, plays basketball, so I know that he's been really busy with that, so he's not going to be able to get on the podcast, so I'm just solo dolo today, and but I do have Leslie on. So for those who have yet to listen to the podcast is dedicated to Black social economic issues in 5 areas, focusing on areas such as social change, entrepreneurship, employment, financial independence, and healthcare. The guests that we bring onto the show are regular people that you would see in the barbershop, in the salon, in the grocery store, and the podcast provides them an opportunity to give a platform to their voice, as well as boost their profile and to connect resources to people. So thank you everybody for listening to the podcast. Again, 14th episode. If you want to see prior episodes, it's on the YouTube channel, Dr. Terrence Duncan. It's on Spotify, Mahogany Thoughts. And also, it's on my website, www.drtduncan.com/podcast. So normally Butler's on the podcast and we talk about, things that we saw in the past week. I know it's been probably about 8 or 9 days since the last podcast recording with Kenrick Lynn. So I will ask you, funny things that you've seen, any stories you want to share or anything of that nature? It has to be something funny in the past week.
Okay. Just a few minutes ago, actually, my son has been walking around wearing these elf slippers that my mother bought him.
Oh, yeah?
And I thought they were ridiculous, but every time I see them, it makes me laugh. So I appreciate that, he is confident enough to wear them, but also it brings me joy throughout the day. So.
Nice. See, let me think. I don't know if I had anything funny because I work from home. I teach 5 different universities. I can't put them on blast like that. There's always funny stories being a college professor. So, I guess, and it also, I talk about current events too. So if I don't have a story to share and I don't want to put nobody on blast, I'll have like something dealing with current events. I know that we're talking about the vaccine. The vaccine was administered today, and the first person to receive the vaccine in the United States was a Black woman. So I know, right?
Interesting.
My guy sent me a text. I thought he was joking.
I need to look that up. I wonder, did she get paid for that? Was it voluntary?
Nah, she worked at an ICU up in New York City. So, and I heard that the first person to administer the vaccine was an African American as well. So imagine that. So, I mean, I know things have changed dramatically over the last 8 months, for Black Lives Matter and everything else like that. You know what I'm going to do is I'm going to ride this wave as long as it takes. You know what I mean? So we don't know what 21 is going to happen. Maybe everybody comes back to the census and stuff, and then it's like, yo, we ain't listening to y'all no more. But for right now, they want to keep us on this pedestal. I'm going to ride this pedestal in my golden robe and my crown as long as it takes and stuff. So, I mean, if they're saying hello to me and they're opening doors for me and they're not clutching the purses right now, I'm going to take it. So, yeah, it was. I know that the lady who did receive the vaccination, she was a healthcare nurse, and the person who did administer the vaccine was an African-American doctor. So, in the history of first. So it's something to be very proud about.
Yeah.
So Leslie Davis, I known Leslie for a very long time.
Almost my whole life.
Almost your whole life. I've known you since you were what, 8 or 9?
No, younger than that.
Younger than that?
6 or 7.
6 or 7?
I remember you when you had braces.
So like I said, I don't want to put my students on blast. You can't put me on blast. So, I mean, I'm the host of the show. You can't put me on blast like that. So, no, I'll just play. I did have braces and stuff. And as I smile, you can tell I didn't wear my retainer because I have my gap again. So I have this Michael Strahan gap in my mouth again. It's kind of cool. It's kind of sexy. But I want to get to the Invisalign and close my teeth together and stuff. But anyways, I know Leslie since she was a kid and I was a kid. Our mothers know each other. And Leslie is like a sister to me. I have a very cute nickname for her that I will try my hardest on this planet not to say it over these next 45 minutes to an hour. But Leslie, she is definitely like a sister to me. And always, her mom is always eating on my food or my mom's food, but Leslie doesn't eat all my food. But Leslie's always around. If I ever need anything, little sister's always around. So much
That
appreciated. So today we're going to talk about several things. We're going to talk about Leslie's background. We're going to talk about how did she get to the particular position that she was in. And also we're going to talk about her nonprofit organization, Hearts and Faith. And basically, Leslie, let's just talk about and also we're going to talk about your faith. So just tell us a little bit about your background. How did you get to your walk of life to where you are today?
Wow. So where I am today is very complicated. I do a lot of different things. Like you mentioned, I am the founder and executive director of Hearts and Faith, which is a nonprofit based out of O'Fallon, Illinois, and we serve single moms and youth. With that program, we also work with youth who are victims or perpetrators of violence or witnesses to violence. So many of the kids that are in that program that I developed, they're court ordered to our program for what people consider is like aggressive offenders treatment. Aside from that, I'm a PhD student at Regent University. I just completed my second full year of classes, and it was the toughest semester ever. I was taking statistics,
Oh,
and I'm
sticks is not
still.
that bad. And you never hit
Oh,
me up.
it stressed me out the whole semester, but I'm glad that's over. I'm just waiting on my grade. So once I get my grade, I think I can fully relax. But our professors, she's been sick, so I know she's behind on grading. Aside from the PhD life, I'm a single mom, which is part of the passion I have for starting the nonprofit for other single moms. And I have a son who has a very complicated heart condition. It's a rare condition. It's called hypoplastic left heart syndrome. So I consider myself to be a heart mom as well. And then number four, the last thing I do, I'm a licensed clinical professional counselor in Illinois. I primarily work with teens, but I enjoy working with young women, young adults, helping them just kind of face different challenges that they have throughout life.
Good. So what led you to become a counselor?
I knew when I was 13 years old that I was going to be a counselor. I always had friends, even adults when I was a teenager or even younger, that would just come and naturally tell me their stories or ask me, well, what should I do? Or what do you think? And I enjoyed helping people in that way. So I just knew that was something I wanted to continue doing. And then I, got older and I found out, oh, I can get paid to do this. Why not?
That usually works.
Yeah.
That's dope. That's dope. Well, we're going to get into our little presentation time, sponsored by myself because we have yet to receive any sponsors, but we're going to get there one day. So let me go ahead and get to the share screen action. And here we go. Okay. So this presentation and the actual episode itself is called Having a Heart with Leslie Davis. And there's the links. That's where you can find me. I hope that you guys subscribe and follow the podcast and my page. Nonprofit foundations in the Black community. So the intent of this particular presentation, what I wanted to do was to highlight, I know in the past that we highlighted particular positions and the level of education and the investment that's required to obtain that particular degree or that particular accomplishment. But this particular presentation is going to focus on nonprofits in the Black community. Nonprofits have significant value in the Black community, and I know that over the last 10 years, there has been a rise in grassroots startup nonprofits, especially over the last year or so, with everything that's been going on with social justice and the criminal justice reform, Black Lives Matter, and other organizations. But not all organizations have such a larger platform, but the smaller nonprofits, they definitely provide a lot of value add to communities, especially on a local level and then sometimes on a regional level. So if you're not too familiar with nonprofits are, they assist building healthy communities, and they provide critical services, and they also contribute to the economic stability and mobility. So even if the nonprofit is not designed to bring in income, so to say, sometimes the mental health aspect of it, or meeting a need that's unique to that particular demographic or community, can help improve economic stability and mobility by having them have the appropriate resources to achieve. Leaders of nonprofit organizations, they often become the voice of the community, and they represent their constituency, and they also provide emotional satisfaction and connection of helping those in need. So there's actually not only the overall goal or achieving the mission or the vision of the nonprofit, but there's also intrinsic emotional capacity that's being achieved for volunteering or doing some direct work with the nonprofit. Myths and facts of NPOs, I wanted to add that because I think that there is a lot of value in having a nonprofit. I know that's something that I do consider walking down that path later on myself when things get a little bit more situated and after I achieve other goals. But it's something to continue the discussion. So, one of the myths is that NPOs cannot generate wealth. And the fact is that is not true because NPOs can accumulate income and wealth, but they also have IRS obligations to maintain status. And I wanted to do that because I guess I need to add this disclaimer: don't create a nonprofit if you're trying to hustle the IRS. So I don't want to say that because then they're going to come back and say, well, Dr. Duncan said that I can have a nonprofit and accumulate wealth. But you have to understand there's a lot of IRS obligations that you have to maintain on an annual basis to maintain your nonprofit organization status. Another fact is that nonprofit organizations can acquire grants to assist funded causes. If you obtain a loan, you have to pay it back. If you obtain a grant, you don't have to pay it back. But the problem is, well, actually, they're somewhat similar to grants and loans because you have to have a specific need for somebody to give you that money. But the grant is advantageous for nonprofits because that can be used to pay salaries, that can help cover operational expenses, maintenance expenses, rent, et cetera. Or actually, depending on the type of nonprofit that you are, you can use that grant money to help further advance your causes or develop additional resources to help your cause. Another myth involves that NPOs do not have paid staff and only volunteers. Again, go back to how the grants are used and utilized, and you actually have to use a grant for a specific purpose. But NPOs may have volunteers depending on the structure, but many do have paid staff. So if you go to a larger scale, you can look at the YMCA, you can look at the Urban League, you can look at the United Way, or you can look at something as basic as a church. You know, the churches, most of the pastors and most of the key leadership and staff will likely receive some form of income, and they are a nonprofit, and the church actually does provide benefits for some of their full-time employee, and again, it just depends on how they are structured. If I remember correctly, the NFL is actually a nonprofit organization. I wish Butler was here so he could help clarify that. But some of the hospitals are nonprofit organizations. So the majority of your hospitals are nonprofits because they receive very generous tax benefits by staying nonprofit, and they have to meet certain obligations. So the myth of saying that if you have a nonprofit that you're either broke or you're not making any money or whatever the case may be, I mean, that's not 100% valid. Hearts and Faith, as Leslie had talked about earlier, Hearts and Faith is a nonprofit organization that she is oversees, and the purpose of this particular nonprofit is to empower single moms, also known as sweethearts, as well as address the needs of the single parents. And this came from off her main page, so it looks like there was some evolution from her original goal, which was to help the sweethearts, and that's a great thing to see. And also, the her nonprofit provides empowerment groups for single mothers, violence prevention programs, teen mom empowerment groups, and empowerment groups for single fathers. And if you want to learn more about Hearts and Faith, it's just as it's spelled out, heartsandfaith.org. Also got the what you call a screenshot of the website on the front. So heartsandfaith.org. The path to generational wealth. And again, normally these slides are involved with, how did somebody go to college, what kind of degrees you need, the type of investment that you need for your education. You can, like I said before, you can obtain generational wealth even by running a nonprofit organization. How are you able to achieve that? As I stated, with the hospitals and with churches and United Way, the tax exempt status really makes a big difference compared to running a for-profit business or a for-profit operation. Projects can generate donations and grants to provide salaries. The tax rules provided for nonprofit organizations, they incentivize business deductions and depreciations and improves its potential net worth. So if you take an organization such as the Urban League, and I am not affiliated with the Urban League, I'm not in their accounting books, but I'm just going to take that for an example. If they have a vehicle, they're able to use the tax code to depreciate the car, which actually helps them save provide savings for their taxes in the long run. The executive directors, they are the ones who run the nonprofit organizations. They have creative control, and just depending on how you grow your nonprofit, you have unlimited earning potential. For those who actually have a terminal degree or doctoral degree, you usually see them running some of the smaller nonprofits, and you think that on the outside, like, well, I don't know how they're running it, because again, it comes down to the myth, but they actually can generate a large salary over time just through the growth of the nonprofit. Our next guest is Leslie Davis, and as she has stated before at her brief intro, she's a licensed clinical professional counselor, and she is also the executive director on Hearts and Faith. She has a BA in sociology from Wheaton College. She has an MA in professional counseling from McKendree University, and she is a PhD candidate from Regent University. And she is also a member of the Brazilian God, I knew I was going to screw this up.
Jiu-jitsu.
Jiu-jitsu.
There you go.
I'm not going to say it again. At Sims Martial Arts Academy in O'Fallon, Illinois. And she's also a member of the Sunrise Rotary Club. And her contact information for those who are listening to it on Spotify or on my website, her professional phone number is 314-529-0214. And her professional email is leslie.d.lcpc@gmail.com. So without further ado, my sister, Miss Leslie.
Hello.
Yeah. So, was I on the money on that or not?
Yes, I actually learned a little bit from you. So we might need to have a talk after this.
Oh, really? Well, make sure I eat my dinner first before you talk and stuff, because I'm like super hungry right now.
Yeah.
I should have ate first. How far on your PhD candidacy?
I finished my second year, and next year I'll start my dissertation.
Okay.
So I believe the fall of next year.
So why did you select Regent University?
I wanted to go there for my master's program. It's in Virginia Beach, and I've always loved the thought of living in Virginia Beach. But at the time when I was pursuing my master's, my son was very young, and he was going through a lot of surgeries at the time, so I couldn't leave. And so that was just a school that I always had in the back of my mind. And then my mother decided to go there and get her PhD, and I attended her graduation. And I was there and just felt like I was supposed to be there. And I remember standing on stage after the graduation with all the streamers and stuff, and I took a picture and I was like, class of 2023, but I'm actually graduating 2022. So
That's dope.
Yeah.
Dope. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So I guess really what led you to really pursue before you actually start a true fact and stuff, and it's something to kind of keep in mind with your sweethearts for the single moms. It's really a phenomenon that's been occurring with Black women for over the last maybe 2 decades, where you're seeing Black women outpace Black men and getting a doctoral degree. Did you know that?
Yes.
Yeah, so I know that the last time I looked at the numbers, it was probably about 120,000 to 70,000.
Wow.
That's the ratio, right? Year over year. And so, for the ladies who are watching this podcast, single moms, and you feel like that, the chips are really against you, having women on this podcast, such as Leslie, it's a testimony of, believing in not only in your higher power and your faith, but also, just that putting faith in yourself to achieve whatever it is that you want to be. So I know Leslie has known me for a long time, and Leslie knows me during my little badass days, and I've kind of repressed most of that now, kind of. But by the end of the day, um, you can do whatever it is that you put your mind to. And we're all going to go through our challenges in adversity, and it's just all a matter of the steps that you're going to take to overcome that. So I applaud not only you, but I also applaud all the other women, the single mothers who's out there day in and day out trying to do whatever that they can to be able to not only survive but to advance and to do more than just survive. You know what I mean? So I mean, that's something that should not be understated, because it's really phenomenal to watch, just the rise of the Black woman and getting their due, like I've seen, and I'm pretty sure you have seen as well as others over the last maybe 5 to 10 years, particularly over this last 4 years, or actually probably since the Obama era. And I think that's probably a little bit more appropriate and stuff, because you started having a lot more visibility thanks to the First Lady. But it's really phenomenal, and it's something that you really hear or talk about. So anytime that I think that we have an opportunity to share that information, it needs to be spoken on and stuff, because that's a fact that we should not only know, but something that we should be proud about. So kudos to you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. $5.40 for that props. So so you're working on your PhD.
Mm-hmm.
You went through statistics.
I made it.
You made it. I remember you texted me about it.
Yes.
I remember you texted me
I
about
called
it.
you a couple times, but I was like, I got to do this on my own. I need the satisfaction that I did this
Oh,
without.
I'd have sent you to Khan Academy though.
Mm.
All the answers you needed was on Khan Academy. But YouTube, you got so many different programs now that can really help you online and stuff. I mean, it's way much different, because I got a C. I mean, I barely got a C. And what's so funny is that I know a lot of doctoral students, because I got 7. I got 7 that I chair right now. And I teach 5 different schools, 10 classes right now, about 10 or 11. And it's funny because I have so many students that say, I got to have a 4.0. Man, look, I did not get a 4.0 ever. Here I am. So,
You know what? I'm trying to maintain my 4.0. So this class really stressed me out, and I know they say B's get degrees, but maintaining the 4.0 is not just for me. It's for me because, I want to see that I can do it, but I also want to prove something for other people too, that they can do it.
just
Um,
lie.
it is. It's a
No, just
lot.
lie. Just lie. Just say you got a
No,
4.0.
I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to lie. But one thing, our program is very strenuous, and we have to get an 83, which is a B or higher, to pass that class.
Yeah.
We're not allowed to get C's
I
or
got to
B
see.
minus.
I got to see, and I wore it on my chest and everything. So, man, I was proud to get my C. But what's so funny though is, like, when you do statistics, you have this natural fear of it and stuff. But then when you get done, when you actually work on your dissertation, it's statistics become almost second nature. It's so funny because now I try to steer all my students to doing quantitative studies instead of qualitative. Are you doing a quantitative or qualitative?
I'm still undecided, but I'm no longer afraid of doing the quantitative. So I remember, several times when I would read a research article, I would skip over the methods and the
Oh yeah.
the results section. Like, just give me straight to the end. I want the beginning and the end. That's it. But now I'm able to read it, understand what these numbers mean, and know how they got the numbers. So it's starting to make more sense.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, no, I know statistics can be intimidating, and I know I did the same thing. I used to look at the methodology, and I saw the ANOVA and the t-test and everything, and I was like, oh, I don't want to see it.
See, now I hear those terms. I know what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
exactly, and stuff. It's like, what's the t-test? What's the p-value? It's like, what's the confidence interval? But it's funny though, because it's like, I don't know. The research says that most students running into the program don't really have the tools, and they don't acquire the tools in the graduate level program. So then by the time they get to their classes that designed for working on a dissertation, it's almost like a reality check, because then you realize the way that you wrote in the graduate level is not really that good after all. And then I tell people that all the time. And so it's a different way of going about doing it. So anyways, I dovetail way much further out of that topic because now we're about to get to a straight nerd conversation. I want to kind of get back on the topic. So, but I am proud of you though for
Thank
sticking it out. And if you ever want to go on, I'm gonna have to plug it. But if you ever, have any questions or anything like that, I do have, I'm working on my sixth one, but a module on dissertation. So it actually breaks down, different types of methodology, recognizing bias, the techniques and developing research questions, et cetera, et cetera. And it's on my YouTube channel as well. So it's available for you and anybody else that's willing to check it out until I'm able to package it and sell it. But right now it's free. But
I will
um,
take advantage of that. I'm actually going to forward that on to some of my classmates. So
oh yeah, no doubt, definitely much appreciated. So where do you practice? Do you practice? Do you have a particular office, or are you working with a health system, or tell me more about that?
you know this. So first of all,
I
I
know
have
the answer, but this is what the interview is about. So this is
no.
going to be, hold on, before you start, this may be a very formal slash informal interview and stuff because, like I said, we've known each other since we were kids. So we're going to dovetail to these random conversations. I already know what's going to happen. So I don't, so let me act like I don't know. How about that?
Okay. Okay. So I have a private practice. I'm one of the counselors located out of Anchored Counseling, which is in O'Fallon, and it's the same office as the nonprofit Hearts and Faith. So we are an Eagle Center, which is across the street from the sports park in O'Fallon. But right now, because of COVID, I'm mostly seeing clients through telehealth, so I'm able to stay at home and work.
So how are patients able to get a hold of you? Are it just by sending an email or go to the Hearts and Faith website or?
They can send me an email with my number. They can text me. But once they become a client, if it's a counseling client, then they'll be put into a portal where they'll have a secured link that they can message me.
So I guess just kind of dovetailing into that, tell me more about the telehealth. I mean, do you think that do you think your clients like the telehealth better? Do you think that you're achieving a little bit more of core outcomes, or do you like more the face-to-face in person? Like I studied it from an academic standpoint, but I've never participated in any kind of teletherapy before, or even kind of any kind of telehealth period. So just for those who may be kind of curious or a little bit, concerned about privacy, would you mind speaking on that?
So one thing, concerning confidentiality and privacy, I always let them know like they need to let me know where they are in case there's an emergency. But also that they need to make sure they have privacy. So if they need to go sit in their car and talk to me, or if they need to go in the room and turn a fan on outside so they can have that noise where other people can't hear them, that helps. I would say for the most part, most of my clients enjoy telehealth. There's just a few who you can tell they kind of feed off of your energy where they really need to be seen in person.
Mm.
And I think the challenging clients are the ones who are younger. I would say the 5 to 10 year olds. They need to be seen in person. It's hard to do telehealth with them because they get so distracted by their bedroom or um, their toys or whatever. So, but also, I'm a counselor that's contracted through BetterHelp. And I think that platform has been really beneficial, not just for the clients, but for myself. Um,
You said better health.
BetterHelp. So
Oh,
you probably have seen tons of ads on Facebook, Instagram.
mhm.
Um, but so I see clients there that are in the state of Illinois, because I can only practice in Illinois,
Okay.
and they sign up with a membership. And so with their membership, they get matched with a counselor. So once I accept them as a client, I can, text message them anytime. They can do a video chat, they can do phone chat, or they can do like a live texting session with me. And so for me as a counselor, the benefit for me is that I've met so many different people from different cultures and different lifestyles that I probably would not meet if they were just in our local area.
That's awesome. So the clients that you want to meeting and stuff, they're not from the St. Louis Metro East area, then, correct? I mean, they're up and down the state of Illinois.
Yeah, I've had most of my clients are in the Chicago area.
Really? So you said better help.
Better help.
Okay. And that's on Facebook?
There's a website for BetterHelp, so you can actually look me up on BetterHelp, and you'll see my page. So you'll see my profile there, and there's some testimonials that are at the bottom as well. But I'll put it in the chat so you can see it.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to make sure I have that written down because when I do update, all the information and whatnot, I can go ahead and provide it. So, for those who might be able to see the video a little bit later, so that's definitely appreciated because I never heard about it. So, I mean, that's
Uh,
very helpful.
Taraji P. Henson just did a commercial for them. I think she's an advocate for mental health, but she's advocating for that platform, BetterHelp.
Oh, okay, nice, nice.
Yeah.
And so, if you don't have an insurance, because I know unfortunately at this time there's going to be a lot of people that either have lost their job or unfortunately may lose their job, just depending on what happens with COVID and whatnot. I mean, it's just a sad reality of it. So I know health insurance is going to be a challenge. Is there a way for them to, is there like subsidies or offsets, or is there a particular copay without having insurance?
So with that platform, they just do a subscription. I don't think insurance covers it at all.
Okay.
If they do, it's very minimal. So, but I know the fees are pretty low
Okay.
for like weekly sessions.
Okay.
I don't know exactly what they charge because I don't handle any of the billing.
Okay. And what kind of specialty? What are your main specialties that you treat?
I've been working with a lot of clients that have anxiety, panic disorders, some clients that have bipolar disorder, a lot of self esteem issues, um, and also dealing with a lot of young women in, even in their young 30s that are dealing with relationship issues, trying to find someone or, just trying to better themselves so they can be a better partner for the person that they're with.
Okay. Nice, nice. And how long, I'm sorry, and how long you been a counselor again?
So I've been a licensed counselor for the last 3 years. I got my LPC in 2017, and I just this year I became an LCPC, which is in Illinois. There's two levels of licensure. So I got the full licensure this year, but I've been doing counseling, unofficially, through the work that I did with crisis work and foster care. So I was a caseworker and a supervisor for a lot of kids that have, very um, big behavioral problems. They were being psychiatrically hospitalized. I would have to do crisis work, crisis intervention with them in the middle of the night. So I've used my counseling skills for quite a few years, almost over 15 years, but being licensed, for the last 3 years.
Okay, nice. So, hearts and faith. We ready to talk about that? Talk about your baby?
Yes.
Yes. So, you've been doing hearts and faith for how many years now?
Ooh, okay, 4 full years. It's kind of odd because our first event was Milk and Cookies.
Milk and
And
cookies.
yeah, that's our Christmas blessing. And this year, we just had this on this past Saturday. This was our fifth annual Milk and Cookies, but we've only been around for 4 years.
Milk and cookies.
Milk and Cookies.
Milk.
See, that's how we got the name.
What was
Also,
it?
Milk and Cookies.
It's a milk and cookies. Where was that from?
Um,
Drawing a blank. Good grief.
Big black guy,
Thanks.
comedian.
What's a
What
milk
is
and
his
cookies?
name?
Man,
Kings of Comedy.
it was on King's Bernie Mac.
Bernie Mac. Yes.
Bernie Mac was about the Bebe kids. So we want some milk and cookies.
Yes. That's how the name came about.
Yeah, yeah. I actually did an event with Leslie and Hearts and Faith. It was like maybe 3 years ago when I launched my first book, and actually was able to do a workshop with the ladies, and that was really nice and stuff because I was able to connect with the ladies, and from the feedback that I recall, some of the worksheets in the book was able to help them out. And one thing that stood out to me was not only that they were all single women, but they all had different stories. And I thought that was something that really resonated with me from that particular experience. I know I'm not, actively involved, but I do donate, to Hearts and Faith every year, um, because it's something I think that we should always consider to donate to Black nonprofits, because we put so much money into taxes and everything else. I mean, if you're looking for tax write-offs or if you want to put your money to good use, I think that we should kind of look at more, get away from more non-traditional sources. I mean, you still donate to the church and everything like that, but there's other nonprofits that can really benefit from, your donations, and just not only just your donations, but your actual physical energy. So just to be able to work with Hearts and Faith, that was a really nice experience. I do look forward to doing some more work in the future. I've always said, if you ever need a speaker or, some help with any of our empowerment groups, excuse me, I'm more than welcome to help out. So I think that's just really phenomenal that you did it. And also just to be able to say 5 years, because what's the average lifespan for an NPO? Almost 3 years, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I learned that early on too. And I was like, when we hit the 3 year mark, I'm like, oh my gosh, we did it.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing is, a lot of people think we have so much funding. We don't have any grants. We are literally funded by people in the community that just want to randomly give to us. And anytime we have an event or someone that we want to bless, it's like God just blesses us to be able to bless them.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that's, I mean, like I said, it's phenomenal because you have different nonprofits that have different goals and different purposes and different, visions and ideas, and like I said, it's really amazing to think that in 3 years, a nonprofit that starts, a nonprofit is closed. And it's almost similar to running a business. It actually is a business, but it's similar to most businesses. Most people have a business idea, they start it up, and for whatever reason they stop, or that particular business fails. And so, congratulations for making it 5 years and to do it literally grassroots. So you can't get more grassroots than that.
Yes.
So congratulations on that.
Thank you. And our board members, I mean, I'm very particular on who joins our board. But our board members are all very new to being on a board themselves. So we're all learning this process together. We do have a great mentor, Tammy Ascaris, who's over Riverbend Family Ministries. I call her Mama Tammy. She inspires me, and just looking at how she started a nonprofit for other nonprofits. And so we're one of the nonprofits in her building. And that's where we run the Heartbeats program, which is our youth violence prevention program. But she has, poured into us, poured into me, specifically all the wisdom she has of how to grow a nonprofit and to keep it, being successful over the years.
Absolutely. That's great. So what is I guess what are your goals for the next 5 years? I mean, you made it to five, you gotta make it to 10. So what is your goals that you can comment on publicly? Because I know when you do your strategic plan, there's a lot of confidentiality and other information that you got to keep private. So I'm on a board. I'm actually president of a board, so I dig it. But I mean, what do you see Hearts and Faith 5 years from now? If you had a newspaper headlines, what would it say?
So if we, 5 years from now, I would hope that we would have our own building, that we're not sharing space with anyone, and that we could.
I'm gonna tell my mom that.
I know. Well, she'll be retired by then.
Whatever.
Maybe we'll take over that building all our own. Who knows?
If my mom does listen to this podcast, yeah, I'll, put it on the record. Whatever.
But by that time, in the next year and a half, I'll be Dr. Davis, and so with my title and expertise as a doctor, one of my personal goals is to branch out and do some speaking engagements just to get the word out about our nonprofit, because we're still like a little secret in O'Fallon. Like, people that live in O'Fallon don't necessarily know about us, but once they find out, they're like, "Oh, you guys are awesome," right?
Absolutely.
So, long term, we want to be globally recognized.
There's nothing wrong with that. And I would love to be a part of that, to help you out. So, I got your back always.
Thank you.
So, what led you to create? You talked about your journey to, become a counselor, and from you, because you know what, I do remember in the kitchen, you always had an advice for somebody. You always had something to say, but it is no shade. I mean, it was good advice. I still give you a hard time though. But as far as the walk in your life to become to start up this particular nonprofit, how were you able to get there and also marry your faith, your personal faith into this particular vision?
So I'm a single mom. I've been a single mom from day one. My son is 16, almost 17 now. So that's a long time to be a single parent, right? But when I started Hearts and Faith, before it was official, um, the church that I attended at the time had a singles ministry, but there was nothing specific to single mothers. And I knew that my story, my experience was different from just being single. I have a child as well. So I wanted to start something small, and I started inviting other single moms that I knew personally to my home, and we would talk about relationships. We talk about our faith. We would pray together, we would encourage each other. But I just really felt in my heart, I need to do this on a bigger level. I can't invite strangers to my home doing this. So,
Absolutely.
what's the next step? And so I just started, dreaming about it. And I'm not going to lie, I was scared to fill out the paperwork with the state and with the government to make this official. But once I did it, God just blessed it.
So, what about the faith part? Because I know that you're a very religious person, and I know your mom is super religious. Oh, the Veda.
Absolutely.
Oh, the Veda. Dr. Davis. So, I know that you had the faith component as one of your major legs for the actual nonprofit. So, could you speak on, how you incorporated your faith into the nonprofit?
Yeah, so the name Hearts and Faith actually came from my personal story of, being in the waiting room, waiting on my son to come out of heart surgery. And he's had 4 open heart surgeries.
Shout out to Judah,
Yeah,
the
what's up,
young
Jude?
homie.
He's in the other room listening.
Is he?
But I remember, just God always telling me, just hold on to your faith. I got this. I got him. And that's where the name came from, Hearts and Faith. His heart condition, my heart for God, my heart for single moms, and for kids. I love working with teens. But that's where the faith aspect came into, is because God gave me this idea. He gave me this burden to help other single moms.
Absolutely. That's a great story. And Judah, her son, actually has a YouTube channel. Judah, I'm giving you a shout out, young homie. It's Spider Man or something like that. Didn't he have like, what, 10,000 views already?
He hit 10,000 subscribers last month. The YouTube channel is called Spidey Talks. He's also on Instagram. So his next goal, he said he wants to do 30,000. I'm like, okay, we're gonna do this.
Man, I only got 17 subscribers, so big ups to him. Yeah, hey, getting subscribers is hard and stuff, but when you have something you believe in, you're passionate about, that's dope. So, shout out to young Judah.
Yeah,
Proud of you, man.
talk y'all. We're gonna get some merchandise soon.
Okay. Hey, ain't nothing wrong with that. Judah gonna be an entrepreneur.
Hey, he got to pay some bills. He's 16. Come on now.
I know that's right.
Huh.
And also another story too. I'm pretty sure Leslie wouldn't mind sharing and stuff. Is that even with all the heart surgeries and in and out the hospital, and the young homie is on the O'Fallon High School band, so he's out there marching and parading and everything. And I'll tell you and stuff. Leslie does not play with her son, so she cares and she loves him dearly and stuff. But if Judy don't act right, she's on his head hardcore. So I mean, no sympathy when he cuts up and stuff. But he's out there in the front line and everything. So definitely, that's definitely an inspirational story in itself. And I definitely wanted to be able to put that on record, saying and stuff. I mean, just sometimes we take advantage, the strength of a Black woman. And sometimes that we don't really pay attention to the little things and the little nuances. And for you to be able to do that, and I know all your story, but for you to be able to do that, day in and day out and still be able to achieve your goals. I mean, this is definitely the reason why we do this podcast, is to be able to provide people like yourself and others an opportunity to share that. And so if you are listening to this podcast, whether you're doing it live or watching it later, and you are going through a thing right now and you're struggling, just know that, there are resources available for you. And you also got therapy help as well. And also, that it's just, you put your mind to it and just believe, so that's where every time I think of Hearts and Faith, I think of believing. And, I think of Judah, and I also think about believing and stuff because, the alternative, and I know some other, single mothers, some very dynamic women who are working with children who have autism, that may be, working with, 3 jobs or whatever the case may be. And, it's big ups for them and stuff, but just that strength and energy is just something to really to behold. And so just, women like yourself, and just for women who are, struggling and just figuring out what can I do, I mean, just keep going at it. Am I right on that? I'm not a woman, so I can't answer that question.
And I really want to just touch on, the struggles that not just single moms have, but single moms who have children with special needs. It's not easy.
Right.
It's tiring. It can feel lonely. Um, and a lot of times you're misunderstood because of what's going on with your child. And so people always, sometimes people look at you, or you feel like they're judging you for what's what's different or lacking with your own child. So I know that struggle. And yeah, like you said, I'm not easy on Judah. And that band mom life, you'll learn real soon.
God.
Allen High School band is no joke. It's travel, 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 practice, practice, practice. And because he's a drummer, he's a percussionist, they have to practice all year round. So that goes on my schedule all year round.
And
So well,
Isaiah is a drummer and percussionist too. And we already talked to Dr. G, and he's like, oh yeah, he could be a drummer percussionist. So thanks for letting me know that my travel plans for the next 4 years are pretty much out the window.
basically.
The only travel I'm gonna do is with some drumsticks and a whole bunch of Cheetos, flaming hot Cheetos.
Yeah, and I'm a chaperone, so I'm on the bus with those kids. So
Are
those are
you?
rides.
Oh,
Yeah.
God bless you.
Yeah. It's
Is it
fun
cheap?
though.
Is it?
It's what's that?
Is it cheaper?
I mean, yeah, you don't have to pay for your own gas. So
Yeah.
so you get a free ride.
Yeah. And my son is actually he's in 8th grade. He will be going to a family high school, and like Leslie said, they are a nationally recognized band, and they are no joke. So I know that they travel, they complete, and I know that Judah did the Rose Bowl, correct?
No, so this year it was canceled. They're supposed to go
It
this
was supposed
January.
to be for this year, right?
Yeah, and so because of COVID, everything got postponed. So he's actually going to go next year, and I'll be chaperoning that as well.
Oh,
But
so we're
that'll
gonna be there together.
yeah.
Oh, we're gonna turn up in Vegas, not
So
Vegas.
senior year and freshman year, there we go.
Yeah. Oh, we're gonna. Oh, okay. I didn't even know what grade he was in.
Yeah, he'll be a senior.
Yeah, I suck as an uncle.
That's all right. You busy?
Yeah, so I guess we'll be turning up in LA then in 22
Yeah, for sure.
with masks.
Probably.
Probably, probably. Well, hopefully, it was always one of my bucket lists to go to the Rose Bowl. And so I told Isaiah that, for him to be able to have that happen and to be able to move to a Fallon from Belleville area, it achieves that dream, to go there. I just know it's not going to be that expensive, to be able to do it. Because when I was going to talk about going to the Rose Bowl, I thought it was just going to be me. But yeah.
And there's other activities involved too. So it's going to be a long week.
I'm going to the game. Come hell or high water, I'm going to the game.
So you're probably getting that family package, not the chaperone package. Because I don't think the kids are going to the game. They
Oh,
got
they ain't going to the game because I ain't paying for that. You can hang out with this little band homies and stuff. This is me. That thing ain't cheap. Me and Jalen. And Jalen got a job, so he can pay for it.
There you go.
So back to the story at hand. So so Hearts and Faith's been 5 years on the road. What kind of programs? I know that I read off the website, so the information I put on the slides came from the website. So I know that you have a male single fathers empowerment group. You have a single women's empowerment group. I know that you have milk and cookies, and then you have other little programs involved. Can you tell a little bit more about it? I mean, how is there like a number of times that you guys meet throughout the year, monthly, quarterly, and the events? How can people find out more about your particular program necessarily, basically?
So most of the events they're always posted on our Facebook page. So if you go to Hearts and Faith on Facebook, you'll get updates on, make sure you follow us. You'll get updates on any live events we have. So right now, I'll break down each program. So the Sweethearts is, what we call our single moms. And so with that group, we used to meet in person. We would talk about different topics related to relationships or parenting. And so the last few months, we've been doing Zoom sessions.
Mm-hmm.
So with the Zoom sessions, because of the sensitive nature of some of the topics, if you're interested, you have to send us a message so we can give you the Zoom link. So like recently we've talked about healthy versus toxic relationships, how to identify red flags, how to keep themselves safe if they are in an abusive relationship, and different resources in our area. So that's the Sweethearts, all for the single moms. Then we have Heartbeats, which is our teen violence prevention program. That is a program that I developed. It's 12 weeks long, and you can just contact me directly or send us a message on the Facebook page or email me. But that one is free to any client that's in Madison County. If you're outside of Madison County, there will be a fee. But that program has been booming. That's been our longest running program. Um, I can't remember how many graduates we've had, but you'll see some of our graduates on the Facebook page. There's always a picture. We want to congratulate them and just let the world know, like, these kids may have made a mistake. You know, they caught a charge, but they're really not bad kids. And a lot of them turn around once they come to our program. And I would say, you know, the main thing I hear from the kids with that program is that they're just excited that they have someone to talk to. So I also do the groups, I do the individual sessions as well with them. And with the parents, what they say is that I don't know what you're doing, but they're talking more. So, you know, it just opens them up to relating to their family, and kind of helps them rebuild some of the broken relationships in their lives. So that's the Heartbeats program. The next program is Heart to Heart, which we have not had anyone officially enrolled in that program, but it is available. And that program is specifically for teen moms. So we know that, you know, the single mom life as an adult is very different from the single mom life as a teen. You know, there's a lot more barriers to cross. You know, hopefully they have family support, but a lot of times, you know, teen moms don't have that family support. And so we want to provide that for them and provide them with resources that are in the community. You know, they may not know about WIC. They may not know how to get food stamps. They may not know how to find a doctor for their child. And so that program just kind of breaks down basic things that they would need to do as a new mother. But it helps them from the age of 13, because I have known 13-year-olds who've had babies up to the age of 18. Okay, so that's the Heart to Heart program.
Mm-hmm.
And then our new program is for single fathers. It's called Strong Hearts. And so that one is co-led myself and D'Angelo Ball. So he is also Strong Heart. And we, you know, that was not in the plan when we started Hearts and Faith, but
Right.
over time, you know, one thing I always wanted to do is make sure that the whole family was supported, that the single mom is not just supported by us, but that we get the child's father involved. And
Right.
so that's how that program developed. And so with Strong Hearts, you know, D'Angelo's personal experience, and you may have seen some of the videos he's been in on our page,
Mm-hmm.
had some back and forth talks about co-parenting, what that looks like. What does it look like, you know, when the father has so much child support to pay and they can't see their kid, and just the obstacles that single fathers have to overcome. And there are single fathers who have their child part-time, you know, or maybe one day a week, or some of the single fathers that we've worked with, they have their child full-time. So we want to be able to wrap around them as well.
You know, it actually, you know, what you was talking about, Mr. D'Angelo story, it actually kind of reminded me about what I wanted to say earlier. And I think that's one of the other reasons why that, you know, nonprofit organizations are very beneficial for for the Black community, because of the fact that you are meeting a need. And so a lot of the problems that we know are known. It's basically incumbent on us to try to help solve these problems, because not only do we identify with it culturally, but we also can identify it from a, you know, personal perspective, and we can speak the language. So I think that's really, you know, awesome that you were able to expand your program like that. Another question I wanted to ask you was, you know, how or does your heartbeats and your strong hearts, do they wound up, you know, maintaining regular communication, you know, throughout the year, or they just, you know, just do you have like the same repeat individuals who are coming to some of your programs, or do you just see kind of like a lot of turnover, or, you know, how often do you wind up staying with your heartbeats and strong hearts?
So the Heartbeats, they are in the program for 12 weeks. A lot of times when they get near the end of the program, they're like, is there another session I can take, or can I do this again? And we don't recommend that, because they're just repeating the information. We've only had, over the last 4 years, we've only had 2 youth who completed the program, and then maybe a year later, they're back in the program because they caught a different charge, right? But a lot of the families, they maintain contact with me. They'll send me, you know, graduation pictures, or sometimes their parents are like, they're still doing great, or they'll say hi for Christmas, you know. So they try to stay engaged. And one thing that we didn't get a chance to do it this year, but last year, what we're trying to do is just reconnect some of the graduates with the newer heartbeats and so
Okay.
they can hear their story. And we wanted to do like a pizza party just so they can, catch up and let us know how they're doing because we miss them,
Yeah, absolutely.
we don't get to see them every day. And so once they're done, it's like we don't know if we'll ever see them again unless we just run into them in the community somewhere. But we like to know, how effective was our program and helping them maintain a lifestyle where they're doing great things.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's awesome. I think that's really phenomenal. Like I said, I know, I know some of your heartbeats, personally, and I know that I've, personally try to help out. Um, I do try to help out from time to time. I know some of them on my Facebook page. And so it's nice to be able to provide, that type of ancillary support. What are the needs? What are the needs, immediate needs that the organization is seeking for? I mean, it's outside of donations, obviously, and stuff, but with Christmas coming around the corner, I know it's a little bit short to kind of, get the capacity to get you the resources, but what are some of the short-term needs for the organization?
Okay. So anyone can make a donation. It is tax deductible because we're a 501c3, but you can go to our website and the donations are made via PayPal. So you'll get a receipt for that. We are always looking for funds. Although we had our milk and cookies event just this weekend, there are a few more
Milk
families
and cookies.
that help.
Every time you said I had to do it. I'm sorry.
I think about it every time I say it.
Milk and cookies.
But yeah, we want to help more people. And the thing that's different about our nonprofit when it comes to Christmas or even our back to school blessing in the summertime, we don't just give handouts. We go above and beyond. With their school supply list, we're getting everything that's on that list. And anyone that comes to our programs, for back to school blessing or milk and cookies, they
Milk
are
and cookies.
nominated to participate. It's not just, oh, I want to sign up. Someone nominated them to participate because they saw a need or they just want to bless that single mom for being a single mom.
Okay.
So one of the needs we have right now, we do need some grants. I prefer not to deal with grants because sometimes there's so many rules and regulations tied to that. And we just kind of want to maintain our freedom. But we are in a position now that we're growing. And so a grant would be helpful. Or if there's any type of local sponsorship that could help with these, larger events that we have that are annual, that would be helpful. And we're always collecting school supplies. So we don't necessarily collect like diapers, wipes, baby items, things like that. Although that would be helpful because we've had lots of babies this year. Like I would say maybe 4 or 5 babies or toddlers on the list this year. And 2 were born on Friday. So that was pretty
Oh,
cool.
word?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Cool, cool.
So yeah, school supplies are always needed because we want to be able to give those out throughout the year. We know that, people's situations change, or maybe there's someone that moves into the area that they don't have anything, or maybe it's a circumstance where a single mom had to, up and leave her abuser. And so she left everything behind and has nothing. So we want to be able to provide the need for people like that.
Awesome, awesome. And did you know, and this, I'm just throwing it out there, that what's it called? State of Illinois has a grant that you can apply for, business interruption grant. That's what I was thinking of. Business interruption grant is due by the 4 o'clock tomorrow. Did you know that?
I mean, well, that means I'm gonna have to be up tonight working on that.
You know,
But you know what? It can be done because we applied for the COVID relief fund and I got that application done in like 3 hours overnight. So
yeah,
at least
I'll forward it to
we
you.
got the information.
Yeah, I'll forward it to you as soon as we get finished with the podcast. Because as soon as she said that a grant, I was like, damn, I forgot to do my grant. Because actually the system was down. But yeah, it's due by 4 o'clock tomorrow.
I can do that.
But man, I will too. I mean, who's not going to take free money? But
Exactly.
see, okay, so we talked about that. We do have a question from one of our guests, and the question is, when does Leslie plan to take some time off, or when does she take time for herself? ... Self-care ?
Okay, so let me tell y'all, I do take care of myself. I know my limit. I know when I've done too much and I can't do anymore. So
How do you recognize the signs?
The signs of burnout, or
Oh
stress.
yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, just for the audience. I mean, how do you recognize the signs of burnout?
Okay, so me personally, I might get a headache. I'll recognize, you know what? I haven't had any water all day. I haven't used the bathroom all day because I'm just going, right? I know I get stressed in my neck and my shoulders. Like during this statistics class, I have a heating pad, an electric heating pad that covers my whole back. That was my best friend all semester,
Oh wow.
right? I sit in this chair with me. Let's see, what else is a sign? If you're restless, you can't get any sleep, right? If you're just tossing and turning, or if you're always thinking about what's the next thing I have to do, right? Those are some signs that you're doing too much. You need to take a break.
Okay.
Or if you're irritable, you're not getting along with people, you're snapping at people when there's really no reason to snap, you're not eating well. Those are some signs. But for me personally, I know when I start to feel it physically. I get the physical symptoms, so I get the stress in my neck and my shoulders. I'm like, okay, I'm doing too much. I need to just chill out. Sorry, that was my dog. So what I do for myself, after my work is done, I make sure I turn off everything, turn off the phone, turn off the TV, and just sit in silence. Silence is my best friend.
Deep breathing too. I know that I do a lot of deep breaths. I know sometimes it sounds like I'm sighing, but it's, but I mean, it really is helpful. Sometimes you just, need to slow the day down. I'm a napper, so I like taking naps. And
That's what I do in my free time.
yeah,
When I need to rest, don't talk to me. Don't wake me up.
yeah, resets the brain and stuff. I mean, maybe it's not a full nap, but just laying still for 20, 30 minutes and just not think, close your mind off. I usually do it during the day, but, that really does make a big difference. And it helps you be recharged for days like this, where even after the podcast, I've still got to eat and I still got about 5 other things to do. So I probably won't be going to bed till about midnight, 1 o'clock tonight. So it is what it is. But
Mm-hmm.
self-care definitely makes a big difference. Um, Nonprofits. So for those who are interested in starting a grassroots, what are some of the advice? What are some of the advice that you would like to give for those who might want to say, okay, well, I might recognize there's a need for doing XYZ, but I don't know how about to go, how to go about starting up a nonprofit. So just briefly for our audience, what was some of the steps and maybe just some of the feelings that you had associated with it, to kind of go through it? Because before you answer, I think the biggest thing is that we are very blessed and fortunate to have the ideas that we have, but it just takes a lot of energy to do it. But some of our biggest obstacles in reaching our goals is to start.
Yeah.
So from your personal experience, go.
So, what helped me was talking to people that were either already in, that nonprofit world. I had some experience because I worked for nonprofits, through DCFS. So
Mm-hmm.
I knew like the business management side of it, but I never knew how to get it started. I never knew what paperwork was needed, and so I did a lot of Googling. And one tip that I found out was helpful for me is, you know, if you're the person who wants to start a nonprofit, you got to take a look at yourself and look at what are your strengths. You know, starting a nonprofit and continuing to maintain that nonprofit, it changes who you are as a person. You're going to grow.
Mm-hmm.
So you start out with who are you today? Who is it that you want to become? And then what do you need to do to become that person to be successful in running a nonprofit? That's number one. I think the conversations I've had with other people is, learning to, if you have an idea, so if I say I want a nonprofit for single moms, well, there might be one that's already out there that I just don't know about. So you got to do a Google search. You got to look up, what is already existing. Is there something that you can do in your specific area that looks like that? Or is there something you need to do a little different and tweak it so it meets the needs of your own community? Um, and then, just really look at the paperwork. It's always good to have an attorney in your back pocket because you need to know what these legal papers are saying and what they mean and what's the repercussions if you don't follow through with what this paperwork says.
Mm-hmm.
So have an attorney review your paperwork before you file anything and ongoing to maintain that status. But it's always good to have a mentor and always know that, your friends and family they may cheer you on, but maybe what you're doing is not anything that they're interested in. So don't bank on them supporting you completely. Don't bank on them saying you're doing a good job or, giving you any praise, because they may not be interested, but that doesn't mean that they don't care. And so you just got to find your people that'll support you.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting that you said that last comment and stuff because if you, I think we talked about earlier before we went with the recording about some of his business ideas that we're going to do separately, but you have to realize that if you're going to have 15,000 sales of XYZ, you're not going to know 15,000 people. You don't even have 15,000 friends on your Facebook page. So by the end of the day, if you're doing something, it's just a general tip for those who are listening, whether it's a nonprofit or starting a business, if you're doing it for the accolades and adulations for your friend and family, you're doing it all for the wrong reason, and it is the reality. I wrote 2 books and I'm writing on my third, and I would probably venture that probably less than 5% of the people I knew about my books. All my book sales, all the people are interested in some of the stuff that I've been doing and providing, or even including this podcast, are more likely those who are not my friends
Yep.
or very close family associates and stuff. I don't even think my own immediate family, like my mom, brother, and sister, have probably listened to one podcast. I haven't even asked them because it doesn't matter. They know I have a podcast, but it's not a big deal. And for even my closest friends, I don't think any of my closest friends listen to podcasts, and I don't care. I mean, because by the end of the day, I'm not doing it for them. Most of the thoughts that I'm sharing and whatnot, I mean, that's just a one-on-one conversation over some beer or whatever. But I think that's really something very critical to say is that that you're doing it for the reasons that you want to do it, and you get your satisfaction and your emotional joy and release from the work that you do for others, rather than the pat on your back at a girl, at a boy, that you will probably get from your family and friends. So I think that was very important to say.
Yeah. And I'll just add another tip is, a lot of the information I got, legal information, was from a podcast called Nonprofit Ally. And even that website provides you templates for, your bylaws, any paperwork that you need to file with the state or with the government. It'll give you the outline of what needs to be in it. And then with the board, make sure you have a diverse board, right? And your board can't be all your friends. It needs to be people who are professional, who have different views on things, because you want people who are not going to just say, okay, yeah, let's do that, whatever you want, right? You want people that are going to challenge you and help you grow and help the nonprofit grow. So they have to be dedicated, not just to you, but the nonprofit as well.
Absolutely. You have to believe in the vision. Well, I think that's pretty much all the questions I have. Is there anything else that you would like to add about your organization or your practice in general?
Well, I am so excited. I'm hopefully going to be into full-time private practice next year. That is my goal.
Oh, yeah.
If I don't get this new job I'm working on, so
Okay.
stay tuned.
Yeah, I'll be praying for you. I know
Thank
it's going to happen. I was just talking to somebody that was doing some work on the house earlier today, and he's about 15 years younger than me. But I told him, I said, it's all about the long game. It's not so much of what happens and the immediate success that you might have, but so much more so of sticking with your craft, perfecting it, and then utilizing it in a way and stuff where it makes it more profitable and more enjoyable through experience. So I mean, I'm totally confident that with everything that you've been through, that I know personally, the stuff that we have not talked about on this particular podcast, but the stuff you also shared, definitely worth watching, later on in life. So I'm really proud of you. So
you. I'm proud of you too, bro. You're doing big things.
I know, because I used to wild out. Like there's still a lot of people that don't even realize like I was like gotten into so much trouble that I did.
They don't know. But the thing is, like you said, you don't stop. Like there's always something more you can do. And so just don't limit yourself.
No, you shouldn't. No, you shouldn't. I mean, because the thing is, you're only on this earth once, supposedly. So if you are on this planet once, you might as well make the best out of it, but do it responsibly. So by the end of the day, if it's within your God-given ability and talents, go for it. And again, it doesn't matter if you're married or you're single. It doesn't matter if you got all the friends in the world or no friends or whatever the case may be and stuff. I mean, those are just cheerleaders. You know, they have nothing to do with the game. You are the game. And it all comes down to the effort that you put in. So if you're doing it for somebody to smile and make you feel good, or say, hey, I listened to your podcast, or hey, Leslie, I saw you talk about hearts and faith, and that was great. And they don't never go on a website or whatever the case may be and stuff. I mean, that's their deal. You know, it's the value that you're providing for those who need that particular type of service, or that particular, opportunity that you're trying to give them. And that's what really it's all about. I mean, even just this podcast, it's just, an opportunity to give people like yourself a platform to voice, the things that you do, and an opportunity to boost your profile. And whether it's 5 people or 500 people, we're going to treat it the same way. And it's, I have a lot of fun doing it. It's pretty fun doing it. It's a lot of work. Obviously, it takes a lot of time commitment, which is why I do it in 6 to 10 episode bursts. But it's definitely rewarding and stuff, just to be able to have people like yourself and others, in the past. It's been a fun year. So definitely like the stories that you were able to share. Definitely appreciate you talking about the organization. And definitely thank you for being on board. And for those who are interested, again, I don't have my slides in front of me. So Leslie, you're going to have to say your phone number again. Your number is.
You can contact me at 314-529-0214, call or text, or you can email me at leslie.d.lcpc@gmail.com.
But I do know the website is heartsandfaith.org.
Correct.
I knew that off the top of my head, because otherwise I'll give your personal phone number out, and then you're going to have all types of calls and stuff. Like, where's my chicken? So.
This is Google Voice, so I can screen those. So.
Right. Or you can say milk and cookies.
That might be my new voicemail.
Milk and cookies. Well, that will conclude the 14th episode of Mahogany Thoughts, Have a Heart, with Leslie Davis, licensed clinical professional counselor, executive director of Hearts and Faith. She's also, what kind of belt are you with your?
I am a 4-stripe white belt, and the BJJ journey is a journey on its own. And so people say, oh, you're a white belt? You can be a white belt for years. Jiu-jitsu is a long journey for martial arts compared to others. So although I'm a white belt, I'm a good white belt. I love what I do. I'm in this for the long run. If I get to black, that'll be a blessing, but I'll be super old by the time I reach that.
So by the time you get to black belt, I'll stop messing with you.
I mean, you probably want to stop messing with me now.
Oh, I ain't scared of you still.
I'm tiny, but I'm a savage.
Yeah, okay, I heard you. Yeah, I've seen your pictures on IG, so but anyways, that concludes our show. Thank you again, everybody, for listening. And this is Dr. Terrence Duncan. Terrence Butler is not able to join us today, but you are able to follow Mahogany Thoughts on my YouTube channel, Dr. Terrence Duncan. It's also on Spotify for Mahogany Thoughts. If you search for the podcast, the website is www.drtduncan.com/podcast. And you can just, like, Shaq said to Charles Barkley, Google me, Chuck. So thank you everybody again for listening to the podcast. This is Dr. Duncan. I hope that you guys have a great holiday season. Stay safe, wear your mask, and many blessings to everybody. Signing out.
Bye.
Bye-bye.